Good. All right. So now I'm plugged in. The camera's on. I've got my mic plugged in. You should be able to hear me now and see me. So let me know if you can see or hear. This is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 57, Singing with a Mix, Liberating or Limiting. And I think this is going to be a really awesome topic today, and one that should be very lively. So I think I said limiting first in my headline, or liberating. So how's everybody doing? I'd like to start out with a question. When you think of, let's just say, when you think of Michael Jackson, when you think of Barbra Streisand, when you think of Stevie Wonder, when you think of Natalie Cole, Josh Groban, these kinds of singers, do you feel like they're limited, or do you feel like they're liberated? Give me your opinion on that. Hi guys, Bruno Inferno, Ethan, Sky Blue, MD, Saiful. Excuse me. Why do I always get choked up in this live broadcast? Yapadios and Chrisley, greetings, you guys. Greetings from Germany. It's really awesome. Looking good, sounding good. So I'm anticipating that you can hear me and see me. And I'm going to add my little logo on the top up here so that you're able to recognize my little logo, my little emerging bird. Someday I'm going to have to have a contest about my logo, and you can make up a story. I have some feelings about that logo, and it'd be interesting to see if it creates any similar feelings. So anyway, think about Agostino. Hi, Agostino. Mix is a measure of a healthy voice for sure. I agree with that. Sky Blue feels like maybe limited, maybe liberated. So that's an interesting thought. Maybe it's both. I think there are some limitations to singing with the mix. You can't pull chest anymore. You don't abuse your voice. So some singers make a living abusing their voice, and they have to save their money because their careers usually get cut short, or they have a big event like they are on a world tour, and before they are able to sing their final couple big venues, they hemorrhage. They hemorrhage their voice because they've been pulling chest. So there are some limitations, but maybe they're good limitations. Anyway, how's everybody doing here? Subia, hi. You know what? I haven't even tried the music. The reason why I didn't try the music this time, excuse me, how awful, is that whenever I introduce the music, for some reason people can't see me. So maybe I can introduce it now. Let me just see if I add music. It might be, let me see, it might be a little loud. Let me just see what happens here. Okay. Now you should be able to hear me and hear the music. So can you still see me? That's the question. Subia, can you still see me now that the music is playing? Okay, the radio says you can hear. Can you see me while you're hearing the music? All good. Hey, what do you know? I don't know. Okay, well, thanks for rocking on with me for a few seconds there. Quite loud. Can't hear your voice well. Okay, I was mainly interested to see if you could still see me when I turn the music on. Isn't it wonderful to be learning with me as I go? So, okay, so welcome, Agostino. Nice to have you with us today. Yeah, I had the music turned up a little bit loud, but my main objective was to see if you could see me while the music was playing. I don't know what happened last week and the week before, but anyway. So we're going to have a pretty exciting conversation today about singing with a mix. Is it liberating or is it limiting? And we've already got kind of a vote for maybe both, limiting and liberating. And it kind of promises to be a rather lively session. So, okay. Anybody else have any opinions about whether singing with a mix is liberating or limiting? Love to know what you think. So we'll be starting at the top of the hour, and then we'll be off to the races with this topic. And okay. I hope you all had a great week and that you're ready to rock and roll on this particular broadcast. I think we're going to have a good time. The reason why I want to talk about whether it's limiting or liberating is because there always seems to be a big debate, and a lot of people get frustrated because it takes them a while to learn this technique. All right. Hi, I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live number 57, Singing with a Mix. Is it limiting or is it liberating? I'm very excited to see you all today, and welcome to this broadcast. This promises to be a very lively and interesting discussion today, and I hope that you find it helpful. So just a shout out to all of those who have joined us. Many of you were already here in our pre-show show. Okay, so let me ask you this question. When you think of like Michael Jackson, Barbra Streisand, Stevie Wonder, Natalie Cole, Josh Groban, Amy Lee, who is the lead for Evanescence, Bernadette Peters, a big Broadway name and Las Vegas name, and many others that I know that had studied this technique and were taught by Seth Riggs in particular, you feel like, would you say they were limited in their singing or were they liberated? What do you think? Subia says limiting. Mix has rules as music has rules. Inside the rules you are free. Okay, that's a pretty good observation. Mix is limiting until you've mastered it. Could be. Yeah, I can see your feeling on that. Hi, The Bridge. Welcome. Nice to have you with us again today. So, Subia, why do you say it's limiting? I'm just curious as to what you're thinking, and I really would like to know. I don't know if anyone's really answered the question. Do you feel like these singers are limited or liberated? Okay, The Bridge says liberated. How to sing with emotion but not speak. I'm not sure exactly what that comment means exactly, but okay. So let's think about, first of all, what is mix? A mix is a combination or a blend or a mixture of two voices, the chest voice and the head voice. And we're making this pretty simple, but fundamentally that's what it is. And it occurs in the middle. And sometimes that middle is called the bridge. Now we can get really detailed on this and say, well, mix is everywhere or mix is only in the bridges or whatever. But for our simplified discussion today, let's just say that the mix occurs when you start the bridge. And for me, for typical men, well, Yeah. For a tenor and a bass, that would be the E above middle C. Ah. Now, if you didn't mix, it would be ah. You could break, or you could yell, pull the chest voice up, where where it's no longer a mix because now you're just singing in chest. Just pulling up the chest voice. Or you could do some kind of manipulation where it's called a cover or a couple or which is distorted and the vowel changes and you can't understand the words. So that would not be a mix. A mix is just simply when you're singing in your chest, the head voice begins to blend in, the chest voice begins to blend in or intertwine or however you want to put it. The resonances, the vocal cords are making an appropriate adjustment to allow this to occur. The resonance starts to shift or split, so some of the resonances activates the air spaces in the head while you're having the same thing occur down low below the hard palate into your mouth and down into the pharynx, and there's activation going on. You can feel that sympathetic vibration in your chest. Anyway, so it's a combination or a blend of those two. So it ends up kind of sounding like all one voice. And many people will say, well, you just did that in your chest. But no, that's a mix. That's a blend of chest and head. So that's, pretty much just head voice up there because that was the high D. So do you find that limiting? And with that definition of a blend of chest and head, let's talk a little about if you don't have a mixed voice. Is it limiting or is it liberating? If you don't have mix, then you don't sing above above the bridge, or if you do sing above for the guys, particularly for the guys. For the girls, you have to sing above your bridge because most of your voice is above that bridge. Guys, we have more chest voice. Ladies, you have more head voice. And so, in terms of being limited, a guy might say, well, my range stops. I mean, I can't sing any higher than E above middle C or the G above middle C or whatever your range is. Some guys will say, well, I can't sing above the C, above middle C. And so they're very limited by not having, well, they could break. Maybe you do it in falsetto. But this is really hard to sing when you're on stage. There's just no substance in it. Now the ladies can cover that. They can do it in falsetto, and it's a little bit more tolerable. So they can sing in falsetto, and it doesn't sound too bad. But they're somewhat limited. It might be lighter or weaker than they want. Or they're singing, but they're pulling usually what happens is they pull the chest voice too high and then they hit a certain note and it's, they have a catastrophic crack or break. So I feel like without your mix, without the ability to sing with a mix, there's a limitation there. I can't see where you would be liberated by not having mix. Maybe you guys can share a perspective that I don't have. What would be liberating about not having a mixed voice? Is there any? Well, let me suggest that you would be liberated to pull chest. So you could allow yourself to pull chest and do some screaming and belting and so forth. if you want to call that liberating. You might appeal to a certain genre, like, for example, the scream and the metal genres. They probably wouldn't care about mix as an audience. Now, the singers should care about it, in my opinion, because of the health of their voice. So I feel like if you don't have a mix, how would you be liberated by that? I'd be curious if anybody has an opinion about that. Anyway, let me just stop for a minute here and say hi to a few more who've joined us. XDEMONZX1, hi. Let me just make a comment. Let's read a comment here and see what it says. Well, in fact, I'll just say hi and then I'll come back to the comments. Ariuna from Spain, awesome to have you with us today. Hi, Deborah. Okay, so let's take a couple comments and see, what you're saying about this. But can you give me an example of where you would be liberated by not having a mix? As I mentioned, Yapadio says the mix is limiting until you've mastered it, and I agree. And that's probably true with every technique, isn't it? Mix has rules, as music has rules, and inside the rules you're free. I think that's probably a good point. Okay, mix, the bridge says the mix is like taming the voice, okay? Berno Inferno says, when mastered, singing with mix is freeing. I can now sing songs comfortably and with good quality when before I could not. Okay, so in that case, I would say Berno is definitely saying that mix is liberating. Agostino, I think they are free. And I would agree with you that I think that these names, the big names, big stars, Michael Jackson, Barbra Streisand, Stevie Wonder, Natalie Cole, Josh Groban, Amy Lee, Bernadette Peters, these and many others are quite free in their singing and in their capability to master their genres. So Berno says, before mix, my range was limited. It certainly does provide some real significant increases in range. So XDE says singing with a mix is kind of a mix. I mean, in order to do a mix, you have to sacrifice some coordinations to gain others. The sacrifice that I think of when I'm doing mix is I sacrifice pulling chest. I sacrifice the flip into falsetto. I mean, I sacrifice that because I don't have to do that. So I usually choose not to. Usually, always choose not to. I sacrifice abuse on my voice, which some people want. I mean, some people like to hear that abuse in the voice, or the damage. They like the damaged voice sound. And I guess if the artist can keep on going and they don't mind that, you'd be sacrificing that. I think that Michael Jackson's kind of an example of, he wasn't always 100%. I mean, there was some times when he did some distortion and some screaming or moderate kinds of things. And I think he did a deal with Seth. Seth Riggs tried to just get him to be more moderate with the occasional abuse so that it wasn't constant, so to preserve his voice. So I don't think that some of these artists are purists, so to speak, but the fact that they could meet the demands of their genres and under every circumstance for the lifetime of their voices is fairly significant. Okay, anyway, the bridge says can't mix be thought of, head voice taking over chest voice so that the two unite in synergy. Um, yeah, I think you could look at it like that. Because eventually, it pretty much was what happens is that chest voice hands it over to head voice without any break. Chris Lee says, did David Bowie sing with mixed voice? I don't know. David Bowie. Sorry, I'm just not as familiar with his work. I don't know that he ever studied with Seth Riggs. I don't have a list of Seth's students with me here. Maybe somebody who has Singing for the Stars can look in the back of his book and see if David Bowie studied with him at all. Because he sounds so chesty when he sings the high parts in Life on Mars. I'll have to check that out. Subia retracted her message. What did you say, Subia? Deborah, my teacher told me it helps to lift the soft palates when singing navigating passaggio. However, I feel like singing in mix is more difficult and strained. Help. Yeah, if it's strained, it's probably not mix yet. Or maybe it's mix, but it's more compressed. Or maybe you're beginning mix, but the larynx you're still fighting the larynx because it still wants to come up. And we do all go through that. I've never had a student who just comes in one day not mixing and walks out that day mixing perfectly. It's usually a process. Never had that. But that's pretty standard, right? If you're going to learn how to play golf, you don't go take your first lesson and then you enter to the, you're in the pros. Every skill that we're learning has a learning curve. So, Deborah, I'd be happy to help in any way we can, but I think I don't know. The thing about speech level singing, that particular technique that I learned, is that we don't tell the student to lift the palate. We don't give them direction. I would say that probably as a result of the exercises that I give to my students, it causes the correct things to happen. Whether that's the palate lifting or whatever, a combination of those things, the right things happen. This technique is more self-placing, and so you don't have to put the sound anyplace. You don't have to lift that. You don't have to pull that in. You don't have to do those kinds of things that we really can't describe to other people how to do that. So, okay. Vladislav, great. Nice to have you with us today from the Ukraine. Awesome. The bridge says, when people belt, it takes less time to sing a few notes above the break, but developing mix takes a longer time. Maybe this makes people think mix is limiting. And I think it's a great comment because the artistry and the control and so forth comes maybe over a period of time, whereas I could bring you in here and teach you to yell, and you can go yell today. You can go pull chest today. And you can keep doing that until you damage your voice or until you get a nodule, till you crack and embarrass yourself, or until your pitch begins to go flat. And so there are some trade-offs, but in the process of really learning to sing well, so much benefit is accrued as a result. Great comment, Bridge. Yeah, it's a little longer to learn than belting or yelling or abusing, or flipping or breaking or going breathy and so forth. It's a little bit longer to learn. And so some people some people are impatient enough that they're just going to abandon it. quit before they have a chance to really get it. Bruno Inferno, so David Bowie definitely sang in mix. Okay, thank you. Listening to The Wild is the Wind. Very clear he's in mix singing that song. Thanks. Thanks for that clarification. I'll have to listen to that. I think I cannot sing freely in mix. Okay, so maybe that's fair enough. I mean, it's not that you can't, but you just haven't learned how yet. And that's where we all pass through that at first. No question about it. I didn't learn the mix and then suddenly just overnight be able to do it, especially in songs. I can do it in exercises a lot sooner than I can do it in songs. Augustino says they're free for sure, but they use SLS as a tool to restore the voice, put voice as safe home base after concert warm-up. Okay, so that's a good point. And a lot of students that I'm aware of that had over the years came to Seth Riggs, came to him, sought him out because they had damaged their voices. And so he would rehabilitate them and teach them the correct technique so that they could get back to their career, go back into their performing without the vocal damage occurring. You know, Stevie Wonder is one of them. He had surgery when he was 19 years old, and Seth was hired by their physicians or by the producer, or both, I'm not sure, probably the producer, manager, to rehab Stevie Wonder after surgery. And to my knowledge, I don't think he's ever had a reoccurrence. He's never had vocal damage again after all these years. August, let me see. Bridge, why are vowel consonant combinations that start with g or k easier to sing than others? The Bridge, I think one of the reasons why is because the k and the g kind of does a reset every time when you stop the airflow like that, even momentarily. The chord structure has to rebalance itself, and in some way that kind of gives you a little more stability, because you can reestablish the balance every single time you do it, like g g g g g g g g g g g g g or key. But the other reason I think is that the g sound tends to hold the larynx down a little bit. So even if you said add a little dopey sound to it, g g g g g g g g g g g g, it seems to do that. So if I have students who are struggling, this kind of gives them some training wheels, so to speak, to help them get on the like the 1.5 scale I just demonstrated, helps them kind of find the stability there that they don't have in just a vowel, for example. Good question. CB says, I made a mistake, I got retracted by me. Oh, okay. I was looking away, I realized, so I commented again. Oh, all right, thanks. Okay, Sky Blues, mixed voice versus twang versus belting. I don't know what twang is, you know. Some people have asked me about twang before. I don't know what twang is, but a mix, just an example of the mix is just a and a belt would be more like and there are different kinds of belt too. Now there's a belt that's taught at one of the universities out here in Utah, and I've never taken it. I've never studied it. I've never taught it, but I've heard people sing with it, and it's not a bad sound, really, at first especially. After a while, it starts to wear on me because it's missing some upper overtones. It's a little bit brassy. It's a little bit harder on my ear, and I miss, and it actually kind of, depending on who's doing it, kind of pounds my ears, and it sounds like, I mean, it really doesn't feel good on me. So I don't like singing at that, but it's a higher larynx kind of a sound with wider or more open vowels, which I'm not even going to try and demonstrate. Okay, so the difference is just that primarily the difference between those two is in mixed singing that I'm talking about today, is probably is taught by speech level singing and maybe some others out there, is the larynx is lower. The larynx is down fundamentally. Even on the higher larynx kind of singing, it's still a lower larynx. The vowels are more towards normal rather than more open or more wide. And so I would say those are probably two very big differences. Okay, sorry, Subi, I'm missing something here. You asked me how to do that. I mean any exercises. Let me see. Not sure. I think I cannot sing mix freely, or sing freely in mix. Yeah, so Subi, if you're saying, well, how do I sing freely in mix, is, who are you studying with? Have you had a lesson, a voice lesson? And I talked a little bit about this last weekend on my my video, but in this book, Mastery, it's about mastering any skill. He talks about principle number 1, if you really want to, he says self-coaching, self-learning is a chancy thing. What's the word he uses here? Self-learning, let me see. The self-taught person is on a chancy path. A self-taught person is on a chancy path. There are advantages and disadvantages to that, but he said if you intend to take the journey of mastery, the best thing you can do is to arrange for first-rate instruction. Old age and premature hair loss. That's what causes that. Okay, so Zubia, I would say if you want to speed this up, yeah, you may want to study with someone who teaches speech level singing. I would be happy to work with you, or you can let me know what, I can't remember which country you're from at the moment. Maybe I can find somebody where you could, if they're close to you, but Skype works pretty well. Okay, so can anyone learn to sing in a mix? Great question, Deborah. I have not met anybody who has not been able to learn to sing in a mix. All voices are capable of it. We all have bridges, and really the art of the mix is to learn to negotiate the bridge, to be able to get through the bridges effectively. So the answer is yes. Blue Sky, or Sky Blue, says mixed voice is like between chest voice and head voice, so it resonates at the nose, maybe, and the twang also resonates at the nose. I don't know. You know, in my chest voice, you know, we sometimes compartmentalize our bodies, and we say that at a certain point it's going to resonate here, and then here, and then here. In reality, it's the sound waves are more like light, a flashlight. You know, there's a little bit of light everywhere. There's a little bit of resonance, a little bit of vibration everywhere. Basically, in a good quality mix, a healthy, good, solid mix, it will resonate wherever it resonates, depending on the pitch. So if I'm down here, even though I'm not in a, well, let me just put it in a lower bridge here. Now, that's going to be a little different than So it's going to resonate up here, but it's not going to go in my nose. It goes past the nose, or around it, or it's next to it, but it's not, that's in my nose. But it resonates in the same neighborhood. Pretty much everything does, because, like I say, the sound waves are more like a flashlight and not just a laser beam, if you get my drift. So there's some bleed over into cavities that are nearby. But yes, in head, it's going to resonate more up here. In chest, it's going to resonate lower. And in mix, there's just going to be more kind of a middle area of resonance and vibration. And the body's really has this intelligence about it that it's going to happen. It's going to go where it naturally should go. If our vowels are correct, if our vowels are pure, and if our technique is good, then the resonance is just going to be where it should be for optimal sound. It's really quite amazing. And I don't have to think about where I'm putting the sound or where it's going or what it's doing. As long as I focus in on doing these fundamental things, then it works. Okay, so Bruno Infernosa twang is the type of resonance caused by the shaping of the back of the throat. It's simply a formed shape, in the same way vowels are in a formed shape. Okay. Sounds like it kind of colors the voices all the way around. There's a little bit of a difference, in the technique that I teach. I teach a technique that's void of manipulation. And we're not trying to create a sound. We're trying to find your natural sound. We're trying to release your natural ability and sound. That's the problem I have with belt, is that I think it's a manipulation. And the reason why I love speech level singing is that it finds the true voice, your naked voice, just what it is, and then helps that become the very best. I love that, because there's nothing artificial about it. There's nothing fake. It's the real you, which is when I really connect with people. When I can tell they're putting something on, they're adding something, they're manipulating something, I have to admit I lose a bit of interest. Now, not all the time. There's some people that, I find intriguing, but by and large, the great singing, I think, are just the singers who are in their own voices. So, you can, if you want to add stuff, that's probably after the house is finished, and then you can embellish it a little bit. Okay, so Suburno, Inferno, and Pharynx, back of the throat. Okay, somebody was asking about that, I guess. Okay, so Deborah, does lifting the soft palate make it easier to sing and mix? No. As I mentioned, I don't give any direction on singing or lifting the palate of any kind. Subia says, actually, I'm just learning from YouTube. Yeah, it's really tough, Subia, really tough to make progress rapidly. I found, just my own experience as a student of singing. I think it'd be really, really hard. I'm sure it can be done. It's just figure it's going to be longer time. Subia is from India. Yeah, so I've had several students from India, and it's worked pretty well. Just have to have a good internet connection. So, hi, Frizoki. I don't recognize your name. Great to have you with us today, or your handle there. I've been asked to sing in our state choir. Cool. Way to go. can you explain how to sing from the diaphragm? Well, we don't sing from the diaphragm necessarily. We sing from our lungs, and the air goes through the vocal cords and comes out. But the diaphragm helps us do some breathing that may help. And so, first thing I want to show you is how to, if you haven't seen these videos, let me just go to powertosing.com. And if you go to the Knowledge Center, on the right-hand side of the Knowledge Center, there is a drop-down menu right here. It says Categories. So drop down that and hit Breath Control, okay? So if you go to Breath Control, there are 5 videos about breathing that you may find helpful. And first thing I would do is I would come down here and begin at episode number 15. Episode number 15 gives you some beginning tips on how to sing or breathe with the diaphragm. This would be really helpful. And I'd watch episode 15 and 16. And I think that's going to be the fastest way, Zubia, for you to be able to learn these concepts. But I'll just really briefly talk about it, and then we can get back to mix. Because this breathing, you can sing with the mix without having perfect breathing. And so basically, what I do is when I'm singing from the diaphragm, if I stand up straight, pull my shoulders back, and have good posture, then this area here, I relax. My tummy pops out a little bit because the diaphragm is now coming down. That pulls air into my lungs. And then I've got lots of air that I use as I'm kind of gently pulling that in. I'm not jerking it in, I'm just gradually pulling my tummy in. So I think about it first, at least, like a little string attached to the back of your belly button on the inside, and you just pull that in gently as you're using your air. So tummy out, air in. Oh, you're pulling in a little bit. Oh. When you reload with air, tummy comes back out. Oh, and then as you're using your air, you pull that in gently. And that's about as detailed as it needs to be. The videos that I've got up here will be really helpful for you there. Go into a lot of detail on it. So the Brit says, not hair loss or old age, maybe Scrooge beard. Yeah, really. Yeah, what do you think about that? So we opened our show on Friday and it went super. It really went great. We got some good reviews. And any tips to singing louder when singing low? Well, I don't really have any tips, except that I think it's a matter of increasing the airflow. So one thing I want to keep is my vocal cords connected. I don't want to change anything. So if I sing louder, you want to maintain a balance. The cords have to get a little bit more firmly adducted, brought together, because it's going to hold the air back. The increased amount of air, we have to hold that back, which is what releases a more intense sound wave, and that's what creates the louder sound. And so I think probably practice. You might want to try something like this and just say, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. and crescendo with each repeated no, and practice that, keep it in balance so that it doesn't get too tight or too loose, and see if you can increase your loudness that way. One reason why sometimes we have problems hitting low notes is the larynx is high. So you want to, if you're coming to a note that you can't hit, normally you have been able to, it's probably because the larynx is up. So I would maybe do some gee 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 gee, some gee gees, gee 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 gee. Spend 5 or 10 minutes on something like that, and then you come down here and you're going to be able to hit the low notes. Nay, 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 no, 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 no. And if the larynx is up, you won't be able to hit those. So keeping the larynx down or getting the larynx down is also a way to have more sound, more volume on the low notes. VC, hi everybody. Nice to have you with us today, VC. Bridge, many of my friends don't do SLS exercises. They say we don't sing with those sounds. Why should we practice those sounds? Which, of course, I don't agree. The exercises that I give are to drive balance in the voice. So once I get balance in the voice, so I have a good balance of air and vocal cord muscle, and I get good balance of the vowels. The vowels are staying appropriately formed, and the larynx is staying down. When all of these things come together and I get a very balanced voice, then the full power of the voice kicks in, and I can sing with release. I have freedom in my voice. I don't have tension in the bridge. I have my head voice. I have my chest voice. I have every note in between, and then some real strength starts coming in, and I can hit any note and any loudness, and so I'm not practicing making a sound. I'm practicing creating a physiological balance, a condition in the voice that results in a sound. So I don't spend time trying to create a sound with a student. I spend time trying to get the larynx down. I spend time getting the vocal cords to come together. I spend time getting appropriate vowels used. I spend time in transitions in the bridge, so that we're able to move back and forth with different vowels and consonants, so to get the balance in the voice and so forth. And that results in a certain kind of sound. So the teaching that I do is cause and effect. The exercises cause a certain kind of sound, rather than me telling the student, make this sound. I don't do that. And it's a wonderful way to teach and a wonderful way to learn. Got to wrap it up here pretty quick, you guys. I think, hi, Eugene from Russia. You say that you need to have pure vowels. What can you recommend to find this pure vowel? Well, I would recommend, again today, as I've shown, if you will, what I'm talking about is when a vowel tends to widen. So if I'm singing, let me see, on O, let's just say, and I say, oh, you hear I've lost the O vowel. Oh. So if my vowel starts to open and it begins to splat, I'm not using a pure vowel. So by that definition then, if you go to if you go again to my my website and then into the Knowledge Center over here on the right-hand side, and hit the Knowledge Center categories, and then you come down to vowel modifying. Go to vowel modifying and search that. There are, I think, six different vowel modifying, or 6 different videos about vowels. Particularly the one you might find useful is episode 25, how to sing vowel modifying hacks. And in this is a great explanation of keeping a pure vowel. And there is a PDF, Eugene, that you can download. Just come to this and hit this, and you'll be able to download a PDF. And it has all of these things on here that will help you. Sorry about the voice. It will help you keep your vowels pure. Okay, so that's a brief answer to where any vowel starts to spread or distort. This is a good guide to help you know what you should use to narrow the vowel so that when you sing, it keeps the vowel pure. Okay? So let me get back to a couple more questions, and I got to run. I got a student coming in just a few minutes here, and I've got to get ready for them. Great question, Eugene. I hope that helps. BC, so my voice has improved a lot since I recently started watching your videos and practicing your techniques and suggestions. Awesome. Thank you. I'm like, who is this singing? Oh, yeah, it's me. Pretty exciting, isn't it? I really wish I could reach millions of people with this information. The problem is we don't know what we don't know, I didn't know about this, and I didn't know that I didn't know. I just thought it was reality. I was born this way, and that's the way it was. And so thank you. I'm very excited to hear that. Are you consciously pulling your stomach in, or does it happen unconsciously? Yeah, when breathing with, as I demonstrated, at first particularly, I have to kind of think about pulling my tummy in, but I don't jerk it in very hard. I imagine a little thread that I'm just gently bringing it in. In reality, in time, it will return on its own, and you have to do very little. You have to do very little of pulling it in. Maybe on a high note where I have to sing up, no, 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 I will pull it in a little more firmly. And that seems to sometimes help me and or my students get the pitch. If they're just slightly below it, that little pull in a little more aggressively with the diaphragm, right around down where the belly button is, that pull in seems to give it a more solidity and better, sometimes slightly better pitch. Okay. Oh, I've read the reviews about your show. Congratulations. Thanks. Yeah, they were very kind to Ebenezer Scrooge, and that was really nice of them. Okay, so got to wrap it up here, everybody. One last comment here. Can you please give us some tips on how to sing Ain't No Sunshine, especially those breathy notes? Probably don't have the time to do that today, sorry. I feel like when things sound good, it's like at chest, I sing with 25% power, 50% at the middle, and 100% in head. Great. Okay, so bridge, don't lock your abs when singing. Yeah, no, I'm not talking about tightening everything up. I'm just talking about a gentle drop. The diaphragm drops down, tummy comes out, air is pulled in. You don't even have to take a breath. Air just fills the vacuum in your lungs, and then as you're using the air, this tummy just kind of starts to go back in as the diaphragm comes back up. underneath the rib cage. And it's a pretty natural thing. It's if you lay down on the floor, lay on your back, and just breathe like you're going to sleep, you'll feel your tummy moving up and down. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what we do when we sleep. It's what little puppy dogs do when they're sleeping. You watch a little puppy dog on the ground. It's his tummy moving in and out when he's breathing. Anyway, thanks very much, you guys. It's been a really great discussion today. I hope that you can see, and it's my opinion, that singing with a mix is incredibly liberating. And the only limitations to singing with a mix is that it may take a little bit longer to develop your technique, and you're limited in terms of how much abuse you give your voice or how much abuse you allow your voice. But the liberating part of that is it gives you a lifetime of singing and a lifetime of healthy, wonderful singing that you can count on even until you're 65, which I will be in February. And I hope many more years beyond that. So thanks for joining me today. This is Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 58, or rather 57, Singing with a Mix. Limiting or liberating? I think it's liberating. See you inside the next video.